All right, here's a blog post, and I want to talk about where we put the emphasis on a blog post. So let's say you're writing a blog post, and then you get to the editing phase, and you have an hour to edit this blog post. Um, so let's look at what are the most important things in a blog post. Well, so visually, just looking at the post itself, of course, you might have a meta description that you need to write. Something that summarizes, the article. It's a few words and it goes in the search engine response. So if you have this search engine page, you'd have the blog title here, and then you'd have the description here, and then like your little link there, right, to the post. All right, so you have that. You have some other things that you might write, but the main things you want to focus on in the actual blog post are the title. I mean, that's the number one, right, is the title. Um, you get this right, and then you can get people to go down to the next thing. They say that the job of every sentence in a post or page or anything like that is to get people to read the next line, right? Because if you get people all the way down, you get them to read the next line enough, especially like on a landing page where there's a call to action down here. Well, then you're bringing them down to the call to action. If you've gotten them all the way down there, everything makes sense to them. But what about skimmers? And so I think that's where we want to look at. Here's the main thing you want to focus on. If you write a headline and it's a high stakes kind of thing, write that thing like 10 times, rewrite it like 10 times, right? Um, I don't even know if that's 10 times, but in copywriting, if you want to write like a high stakes, let's say your client's spending a whole bunch of money on um, your ad campaign, well, you write headlines, you write 100 headlines because this is high stakes and you want to get a really good attention grabbing headline. And so you spend a lot of time on that. Well, this being a blog post, and a lot of times your clients don't really care that much. Well, we care a little bit, so we want to make sure that we don't want to spend hours on it because we'd have to charge the clients for that. But let's say you just have an hour to do this, focus on that headline. The next thing you want to focus on is the intro sentence that probably focuses on the problem, um, solution. Actually, you know what? Before that, why it's a problem, why I care, right? And then the promise of a solution, not like a solution, but promise of a solution, because we're not going to give them the solution in the first line. First of all, how good of a solution would it be if you just had the first line? You might tell them the solution like it's invoice factoring, or the solution to your problem is better copywriting, or whatever. You might say that, but then you're promising to show them how, right? Because why else would they read the whole article? All right. So, and then you have kind of like a little bit of a restatement. So this is kind of like in newspaper writing, this would be the headline. This would be the kind of like the nut graph. And it's a bad comparison. Anyway, so headline, subhead, explain it just a little more, and then explain the problem, why it's a problem, and what we're going to do to solve it in a little more verbs, a little more words right there, right? This might be an important area, but let's focus on the most important areas. So number one is here, number two is here probably, and then three, all your headlines. All your headlines are the most important, are the third most important. Next thing and your headline for your summary. So let's say you have 3 points in here, which is never a bad idea, right? 3 points in your content. You might have 5, you might have 7, you might whatever, odd numbers, whatever. But what you want to do is you want to focus on the headline, you want to focus on that, and then you might have some body copy here you don't need to focus on as much, and then you have the summary here. And then the summary, you don't want it to be just kind of like, you don't want it to be the word summary or conclusion. You want to actually say what you've said, and then tell them what you've said. Maybe there's a call to action here, and then you want to focus on that. So that's kind of the main priorities in a blog post. Hope you enjoy.